When I wouldn't hashtag trans rights and I wouldn't put my pronouns in, like, they kept on it pressuring. And finally, I just said, I'm not doing this, you know, like, I'm not, like, what are the pronouns? I didn't even know what people were talking about. I was just not clued in to the pronouns thing, which apparently that's been happening for like 7-8 years now, right? It's been happening.
But no one has ever explained its purpose. What I mean,
I didn't know.
You're just supposed to know.
Yeah.
And if you don't know, you're a bigot.
Yeah. Well, then I put beep bop boop in my
beep bop boop.
Yeah.
So that, if I'm translating, that just means middle finger to you, right?
That just meant I can put anything I want in my bio. I can do whatever I want. That's all that was.
Because you thought it was a free country.
Yeah, because I thought it was. Yes.
Yeah, right.
But I was
just trying to follow your train of reasoning here.
Yeah, you can put anything in your bio that you want, and the whole, you know, meltdown that caused was just, I mean, and then, you know. In
a bad way, or are people impressed? I'm impressed.
No, I mean, it's cool now, but this was, mind you, this was like a year and a half ago. So this was like, I was speaking out about lockdowns, mass vaccinations, and pronouns way before anybody was even like saying a word about it. And so I was a little bit ahead. I'm sure if I would have done that now, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But because I was talking about this when nobody else was talking about it, especially nobody else in my industry, it was like Lucasfilm called me and they were like, okay, we're going to need you to go on a Zoom call with 45 of our, you know, LGBTQ, you know, community. And we have to get you on the phone with these people. We need to have you watch all of these these movies about the trans lives, documentaries, and I was like, okay, I'll watch your documentaries and I'll talk to your people, but I'm not going to get on a Zoom call with 45 different people who can have their phones out videotaping me, and I feel like that's extremely abusive.
The main thing is to protect these characters, make sure that they still continue to live in the way that you created them.
That's it! You cocky cock! You'll pay for your crimes against humanity!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Angry Dark Ether Files nerd. Due to editing limitations and the violent and comedic nature that is implied here, we unfortunately can't show the results of this punch. So here's a clip from the popular anime, Attack on Titan.
Nice scuba suit.
You need a ride, darling?
How about a smile for me, huh?
Is that like a personal attack or something? Or...
Jesus H. Christ, even I find that blonde moron insufferable. You better tear her a new one, Carter. Your chocolate chip family is counting on you. What? Are you crazy, Pepsi Man? There's no way in hell I want Kathleen Kennedy on our team. You think I want her to George Lucas our empire? That'd be like letting an enraged gorilla give you a hand job. Curse that damn talking ape and his magic school. Boy, I wonder what Henry B. would do in my position. Man, I miss him so much. But soon I'll have a new Henry B., one far younger and more handsome.
You're hit. You're bleeding, man. I ain't got time to bleed.
Sorry. I know. Probably should have given a heads up beforehand. I know.
That was one frightening image.
Yes, it was.
I think it was appropriate, though, considering tonight's topics. But,
Yeah.
I had to throw something in there to kind of be like a last little, what do they say about Halloween, even though it's over now? Everyone's entitled to one good scare.
Oh, God damn it.
And when you're on this show, everyone's entitled to one good Kathleen jump scare. Bye.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the War on Pop Culture. It has been a minute since we've been on this show. It's nice to take a break. When you talk about things like this, it can be infuriating. It's almost like watching someone you love, but they're dead, and their corpse is being puppeted around by some jackass that you hated in high school. I think it's a good way to sum it up,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
think about think about someone that you really hated in school, and then they come back years later, and they're just harassing you constantly. It's almost how I feel with the state of Star Wars,
Well,
Star Wars,
Disney in general, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, we've seen Star Wars in the hands of Disney for the better part of 10 plus years now, or close to it. Well, no,
the acquisition was in 2012, but they didn't really do anything until 2015.
So 8 years, 7 years, close.
Fuck it.
The point is, it's been pretty much at that point, and nothing's really happened until, of course, Rian Johnson started opening his mouth, and then, of course, the bigger thing, the firing of Gina Carano, which affected us here. But it set us on a better path. It set Gina on a better path. She's in a less toxic environment, and so are we. So it kind of evens out. With that said, we still sort of feel the effects of it, the ramifications of what happened. I think that with the making of the sequel trilogy, particularly with The Last Jedi, that really split up the fan base, and then Rise of Skywalker sort of just like pissing on the fire that was the franchise.
Trying to extinguish the flames with urine.
Yes. Of course, then Gina Carano getting fired. I mean, it hasn't been good, and it's starting to catch up with Disney, at least as far as numbers are concerned. And something that I find very funny is how people still try to justify the quality of the sequel trilogy. And when you look at the physical evidence, and by physical, I mean, think about Star Wars before Disney took over. And in the mid to sort of late-ish 2000s, getting into 2010s, where you had books, comics, video games of characters that were popular in the franchise.
And a couple series, just a couple of them.
Yeah.
Not too much, but it feels like it's on a fucking assembly line.
Right. But we would see a lot of production of these characters because they were fan favorites. They made money. Ergo, we saw more of it. Of course, it was also sparing, like you were saying, Danner. My point in getting all of that is with the sequel trilogy characters, you're not seeing much. Like, yeah, you have the toys that still come out. Of course, they either look cheap as hell, or the ones that are of better quality are expensive as hell, and you don't want to buy them. I mean, you don't want to buy them anyway, but the point is that you're not seeing these characters very much. Like, it's not, they're not popular enough to where they are profitable.
That's the key word, ain't it?
Hey, Chris.
Hello there, Chris. How you doing, man?
But
good to see you.
Profitable. That's the key ingredient, isn't it? Because think about the Obi-Wan show for a minute. Now, look, if you wanted to make a TV series about a Order 66 survivor who went underground and became an Inquisitor to get back at Vader, you could probably do that if, if executed better. But now, I know people who have told me personally they thought Reva was a great character. Like, I disagree 110%. She was a fucking dumbass. And, like, her good cop, bad cop shit with fucking little Leia there, pathetic. Her her battle cry was just laughably bad. But what I find hilarious is, like, you're willing to say that this character was great in a show that could have been theirs, but ended up being theirs. But clearly they didn't have any faith in this character when they wrote her because, well, they put her in a fucking show called Obi-Wan Kenobi. Think about that for a second. Do they really have faith in this new character if they can't like they couldn't do it without relying on, well, that good old... Remember Ewan? Remember Ewan? We got Ewan back. Ewan McGregor. They had to go there. They tap in your nostalgic love for Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi, and yeah, push them aside just a bit. Okay, not too far. Then they'll catch on. Here's Reva, and of course, fan blaming bingo. I'm sure you've seen that sheet somewhere on Twitter.
Yeah.
You don't like this character. You're a racist. You're a sexist. Or she's just a poorly written character whose motives make no fucking sense.
I'd say she's a poorly written character portrayed by a very unlikable actress.
Kind of like someone else we'll be talking about, eh?
At least in some of the press or interviews I've seen her in, usually the response that people, like, particularly actors, get. I mean, back in the day, and I say back in the day, like, I want to say the 80s back, there wasn't a lot of press for actors in the sense of them giving a lot of their personal views. A lot of it was very hush-hush. That is true, especially of their politics, because back then, Hollywood knew that these actors needed to have a sense of awe and mystery about them to where they could appeal to a large audience. And one of the ways that they did that was by not talking about their politics. Now, of course, you had your outliers. I mean, Marlon Brando was one such case. Actually, this is something that I touch on in the next video for the Dark Fate review series, because I got a comment about that in my first, I think it was my first or second video that I did, where I was talking about this very subject about how actors were hush-hush. And the person had said Marlon Brando would like a word. I'm not ignorant to situations like that. With that said, when you point out something like that, you're pointing out a vast minority at the time. You know why it's a vast minority? Because what's happening today in mass with all these actors wasn't happening back then. If it was, it'd be very fucking obvious. It would be everywhere. It's like, oh, it's almost like history repeating itself. Actors giving their political views. No, that shit wasn't happening as much as it is today back then. Because if the actors spoke out of turn or they gave their opinions on something that wasn't entirely popular, that would hurt the movie. It would hurt whatever entertainment that they were producing.
Like example, Ellen DeGeneres coming out as gay, which resulted in the cancellation of her show, as an example.
Until they brought her back?
Probably.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Probably?
No,
She has her. She has.
No,
show.
I'm talking about no. She had like a sitcom, not her talk show. She had a sitcom, and then after she came out, though, the show got canceled, and then I don't know what happened. Then she got a talk show. I don't know what the fuck happened. I guess it was like some sort of discrimination lawsuit bullshit. I don't know. I don't know the whole story behind it.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised per se. At the same time, I think that particular angle is no longer relevant, considering that everybody is coming out as gay, and I mean, they're being worshipped. Like, oh my God, yes, we have another brave soul that is coming out and blah 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 blah. You know, it's almost like a reverse now, because now it's like, oh, if you're not gay, it's like, well, it's a rare thing these days. You don't really see that very much because everybody's coming out. Maybe it's actually true, maybe it's not. Maybe people are just saying they're gay so they can get their attention. You know, because that's how
oppression points too. Don't forget that.
Yeah, I mean, social media has ruined a lot of human interaction and how we perceive things. Like, I notice it at work. You know, sometimes I see people come in and, you know, they're not all there. I know I'm kind of getting a little sidetracked, but it's just something that I'm noticing. It's a little disheartening too, because when I try and have a conversation with people and they're just kind of like nervous to. I mean, hell, some of them do their phones. Others, they don't even look at you. They just kind of like, oh, here's my card or here's my cash. It's like, hello, I'm right here. Anyway, I'm sorry.
No, it's cool. I mean, but you're absolutely right. How it's tainted our not our minds, but people's minds in general.
Yeah.
Like, well, I mean, like people who won't want to leave their houses. Well, what we got here.
Obi-Wan had some good stuff in there, but Disney couldn't help themselves in the writing. There was a good show in there somewhere, but Star Wars has the same problem Marvel has right now. They're focused on quantity over quality, and there is always some political agenda thrown in. I just want to escape and be entertained. I already hear enough politics in the real world. I want movies and TV to be focused on entertaining us, not sending a message. And actors speak out their beliefs to stay relevant, to stay in the headlines. Bad press is still press in the eyes of the media. Yeah, that's pretty much how the Ellen thing went down. Gotcha.
Oh, way to go. I mean, you're not wrong at all.
Yeah.
But the Obi-Wan show, yeah, I mean, that was like probably one of the biggest disappointments ever, because we all wanted to see something, because clearly there had to be something to fill up what happened with him and possibly even Luke, because they clearly knew each other in A New Hope.
Yeah.
Like, they've met. There had to be something in there, but again, execution was, well, it was off. It had moments, like Chris said. I agree with that. Anytime that involved the characters that we love, I enjoyed it. Even if it was at face value, it's just like, if it gets me away from that shit, like Reva, like, I'll take it. But even if I think that fight was so poorly done in a lot of ways, from the editing and like hello, lighting is important. You can't just rely on the lightsabers to be your source of lighting for these scenes. I'm sorry. It looks cool visually, which is one thing I can commend what they did ever since Disney took over, is that they had lit props instead of just adding the light in posts in the Lucas era, but it's not enough.
Yeah. Also,
Liam Neeson came out and said they're doing too much with Star Wars and diluting it now with all the movies and shows they got. Yeah. Yep.
Also, another thing to add into what Chris said, though, about wanting to be entertained and escape the reality of bullshit. That's something I always say whenever there's some bullshit going on in the world and somehow it's seeping into my fucking entertainment like a fucking hole in a ship.
Oh, it's not seeping. Let me tell you something. It's all deliberate. It's being put in there. It's being deliberately shoved in because it's very subtle brainwashing, if you can believe something like that. Think about They Live. They Live is a perfect example of that. And it's only changing form, changing shape. It's been happening for a long time. It's just now certain things are a little bit more open. Like I want you guys to think about this. Let's say about 10, 15 years ago, do you think that people would have been comfortable or didn't mind having kids doing drag shows?
I would not be comfortable.
About 10 to 15 years ago.
Probably not.
I think that people would still be a little uneasy about it. Yeah. Like, okay, we have the LGBT stuff starting to rise up. We're seeing a lot of it in the movies now. It's starting to slowly go in. And that's my point, is that they subtly introduce it. It's almost like the death of 1,000 cuts. Because if they were to just pour it on the masses, just all of it at once, people would brush up against it because it's going to mess with their foundation. So the solution is you subtly introduce it. You introduce the small things. Oh, we just want equal rights. Oh, now we want equal rights and representation. Oh, now we want reparations because of past transgressions. You see, it's very subtle. Oh, now we just want your kids to understand our views so that we cannot be discriminated against. Oh, now we want your kids to do the same thing we're doing. Oh, you don't want to do that? You are a bigot. You can be thrown in jail. You can be fined.
Slippery fucking slope into a hellfire pit.
And you have these big media corporations that are pushing it. Like they're the leaked little Zoom meeting that we featured on the show months ago or months ago, where the lady was like talking about her not so secret gay agenda, like when they made Lightyear. I don't think, was it Disney that did Lightyear, right?
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
Disney, Pixar,
Yeah,
whatever.
So
Same
Lightyear,
brand.
they had. I didn't watch the movie, so I don't
Me
really
neither.
know for sure. But they had like a lesbian couple in there or something. Then you had that.
Sorry, I gotta stop. I gotta pause you there for a sec. Which, of course, knowing Disney, as I've stated many times on the show, they will always make sure to have it in the background or have it last at least 2 seconds because China don't like that.
Well,
China no homo.
It's actually funny because that's what's been happening with Marvel's Spider-Man 2, a game that I watched an hour and a half long video of this guy playing it, or he was giving his review on it. This was a guy I just randomly found. I just sat through his video, listened to it, and let's just say I'm not surprised. Like, some of the storylines were shit, some of the gameplay was shit, but there were LGBT aspects in there that I heard were cut out for the Middle Eastern release. Now, here's the really funny thing. This is gonna be really funny. So, another game that came out called Starfield from Bethesda. They did Skyrim, which I love Skyrim, by the way, just as a quick
Fallout.
side note. But they did, and Fallout. So they did this game called Starfield, and they had some pronouns bullshit in there, and you had people in the modding community because Bethesda allows people to mod their games on PC. It's a really big community. But you had people that were basically modding some of these aspects out of the game, and the mod sites, they were banning people for doing that, banning people for removing some of those things. And some of the same thing was happening with Marvel Spider-Man 2. I mean, it's not on PC, but it's in that similar vein where people were deliberately removing some of these items like the pride flag or something, and they were getting banned for this shit, yet Insomniac is happy to release Marvel Spider-Man 2 in the Middle East and have all the LGBT stuff removed. So it's a hypocritical double standard where if you're in a certain area, they're more than happy to censor it to make their money. But here in the West, if you speak out against it, you'll be labeled as one of the ists or phobes. You could be banned from modding sites if that's your thing. I mean, I like modding. I haven't done any modding myself, but I mod my games. I download mods and shit. But it's very disheartening to see that. But it's no surprise because they've been doing this type of shit for years. It's just in different fashions where you'll get shadow banned on certain social media sites or you'll just get straight up banned. I mean, YouTube has done shit like that before where if you say certain things, you'll get banned because it's considered harmful content or it's because it goes against their community guidelines, which is a crock of shit, but it happens. And believe me, aside from the fact that I don't want to support Disney, I like Spider-Man and I like the Venom and the Black Symbiote. I like that story. I grew up with that shit, with the Raimi movies and the cartoon and, the video games. So I was at least I wasn't gonna buy the game. I wasn't. It's just I did want to watch gameplay of it, and I started. But then I started seeing these different things going on in the game. Like the guy that was playing it, he was saying that there are so many missions where you're not Spider-Man. Like if you remember from the first Marvel Spider-Man, you had like the segments where you were playing as Mary Jane. Right. Well, you have that, and
I did not like that one bit.
Well, you have that and more.
I'm taking pictures.
Now, watch this, Chris. If you don't want to be spoiled for Spider-Man 2, You know, I'll just stop. I won't spoil anything. I just saw a gameplay. I'll just say this: you get to play as Mary Jane again, but it no longer feels like Spider-Man, like a Spider-Man game. Like if you thought that the Spider-Man or the Mary Jane segment in the first game was off, you get that again, but it's worse. Want to know how? I'll just say this. No spoilers, but I'll just say this. You play as Mary Jane in a shooting segment. Like straight up like The Last of Us. Over the shoulder aiming with a gun. In a Spider-Man game.
The fuck?
Why not just play The Last of Us?
There's another part where you play as Miles's deaf girlfriend.
Oh god!
For some reason, yeah, that's a thing. Yeah, I wasn't going to buy the game anyway, but if I had any sort of inkling of wanting to, it was gone. Which is disappointing because I like Spider-Man, but fuck that. And of course, some of the storylines were kind of shit too. So I mean, it's no surprise, but it still is sort of disappointing because you want to have fun with some of these characters, and it's hard to have fun with these characters, or it's hard to buy into some of these franchises when they're owned by people who admittedly don't like you, people who have actively spoken out against you if you have a certain beliefs, or hell, you don't even have to have certain beliefs. If you don't even support what they support, but you don't even support their enemy either, like if you're a neutral person, you're out. You're neutral means you're either with us or against us, and that means you're against us. You may not be with our enemy, but you're also not with us, so that makes you the enemy anyway. So you can't win with these people. Please go ahead.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Which may in itself be an absolute.
Well.
I'm just playing. I saw that in the meme.
I know. But point is, you got Disney that fucking demonstrates that kind of behavior where it's like you're either with or against us kind of shit with all that. Like, and of course there's their shills and shit that you'll see on Twitter. Like I'm seeing a lot of that pop up in my feed for some reason. All the shills for fucking the Marvels. Like,
which it's coming out tonight, right? Like this is
I believe so.
Early release night.
Yeah, and some people have already reviewed it. Like Lee from Drum Dums, he already reviewed it, and he was happy to share that he did get some of those dumb comments in his YouTube section, on his YouTube channel, just like, hey, the only reason you don't like the main villain is because you're racist. It's like, I actually can't help but just look deeper into the people who leave these comments, and it's like, yeah, joined February 2023 and no other activity. You're either a bot or you're a kid.
Or it's like a
complete dumbass.
Like a fake account that
like what Disney has been doing.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
even
exactly.
Sony has done that kind of shit when it came to like reviews, like, you know, where they would write fake reviews to like boost their movie's reputation, which they might have done with a certain movie we've talked about many times that came out in 2016 that probably really caused this whole war on pop culture to really explode. You know which movie I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, they released a trailer for the new one that's the sequel to Afterlife.
I didn't watch it yet. Not good.
Well, I'll say this. I think that they're trying to do a climate change angle.
God damn it.
Like, I saw an article, I think from the Rolling Stones, of all places, talking
that name
about...
just sounds weird. Frozen Empire?
Well, yeah, they say something. I watched the trailer, and I don't think that... I can't recall if they said anything about climate change specifically, but basically in the trailer, New York gets frozen over. So, but the Rolling Stones article said something about climate change is real and scary or something like that. And I saw that, and I'm thinking to myself, no, I don't need that in a Ghostbusters movie, okay? It's fucking Ghostbusters. What the fuck are you doing? This is my problem with modern entertainment, is that they can't stop putting some kind of fucking message in there. And it's got to the point now where even if it's something small, it's going to bother me because I'm so in tune with the shit that I can see it even in the smallest fucking corner
Like,
at this point.
well, like even in, as much as I loved it, the Batman, when it got to that part where, you know, Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman unironically says all they care about, quote, are these white privileged assholes. Okay, look, you're saying, I find that funny. I mean, that's really the only thing I didn't like in that movie was that line where I just rolled my fucking eyes. But I find it hilarious that she's saying this in this movie where the only cop on the force who is not a corrupt piece of shit is
white.
A black
No, he's a black guy because it was
I'm
more.
talking about Jim Gordon.
Yeah,
And
they took it
at the same time, even on the flip side of things, you have the most powerful criminal kingpin, who is your father, by the way, clearly not a white man. And of course, due to the mayor's murder at the beginning of the film, you have a mayor-elect who is a black woman. What are you doing in this movie talking about white privilege unironically? You could have just, like, why even use that term in this case? You could have just said all they care about are these corrupt assholes. That's all you had to say was just corrupt. Because corruption has always been a huge fucking theme in Batman.
Yeah.
Like the police force being like on like Falcone's payroll and shit. That's always been explored in these movies. But just to interject that modern political shit that you hear people talk about on social media, it's like, no.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I sort of hold back the Batman for being a fantastic Batman film is
That's
they
fair.
it has those aspects and they have the tokenization, which just annoys the fuck out of me. I think that Jeffrey Wright, I believe the guy who played as Gordon, he's a great actor. I remember him in the James Bond movies. I like his acting. It's just, and he did good in this movie. He did good as Jim Gordon. It's just if he was
great
anyone
in Boardwalk Empire, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh,
if he was anyone other than someone named Jim Gordon, I could say, hey, this is a pretty cool cop character. Obviously, he's trying to be the Jim Gordon archetype, and you don't have Gordon in there right now. But look, if he's just a cop, you know, with a similar aspect to Jim Gordon, cool. But you had to make him Jim Gordon. Why? Because representation, right? You know, it annoys me because it's easy for them to do something like create a whole new character that isn't white. If you want to do your representation talk, you make a new character and then see how the character does. If your goal was to be pushing a social message about it, then you're going at it the wrong way. Like if you're going to create a character that's not white, cool, fine. Just don't try and sell this character as someone that's going to be breaking some invisible glass ceiling that's already been broken.
Oh, God, just stop. Fucking stop.
And
focus back on entertainment because that's why
exactly
there.
Yeah.
Why do you movies to entertain? I mean, that point's already been talked to death, but
I know
we have to keep reminding people because it seems like it's. I mean, I think that the tide is turning now, just because you know with this recent South Park episode, which we will get into a little later, but a lot of things are sort of happening now where you know Hollywood is going to have to start making some changes. I mean, they already have. Like Disney has been delaying so many projects, both from Star Wars and Marvel. It's and this Marvel's movie is not gonna.
No, but back to that whole doing it in the name of representation shit. I mean, again, something else I want to say. There's nothing inherently wrong with that, but you can't just check off the boxes like gay character, black character. It's not that simple. You don't just throw them in there and say, well, there they are. And of course, in the case of like just taking a pre-existing character and then just shoehorning that in there and basically adding nothing much else to them, it's like, it's too simple and lazy.
It's insulting too. Because at that point, the character is just filling an occupation that was previously owned by someone that wasn't the same as them. Like if we're talking about a race swap, right, where you're going to make a black version of a white character, and of course, it's usually only one way. where it's a white character that's turned into a black version. It's very rare. It has happened. With that said, it's rare these days to see it done the other way. And if it ever is done the other way, you're going to have so many people complaining about it. But at that point, ask yourself, what is the necessity of doing it in the first place? Again, circling back to why don't you just make a new character? And then the argument is, oh, well, because it won't be received well. Well, look, here's the thing. You think that all the characters that we have today were what? They were just popular right from the get-go? No, they had to earn their place. These were new characters. Marvel, DC, they all had a starting point where they had to earn the audience's respect. And that's why they've lasted this long, because you kept on putting out good stories. People kept on connecting to them. They kept on buying the shit. So it was profitable. So they kept on bringing the characters back. At some point, you have to start over or start with something new, which is why with everything that's happening in Hollywood and the entertainment industry, that's what's happening. The groundwork is being laid for independent creators to come in and leave their mark, because we've been so oversaturated with garbage content. People are looking for other things. And this is the opportunity right now to get in, to throw your proverbial hat in the ring and see what catches, because we can and will forge the new entertainment. And we don't have to rely on Hollywood to do the shit.
But like you were saying about Marvel, though, I mean, like you said, not every character, like especially with the MCU, those characters that we loved during its golden age, they didn't have that same recognition before the MCU. Like,
hey,
well,
Drunk
hello
Freepio,
there.
how you doing?
Hey, buddy, how are you, man?
Turning a bit, we're taking the steps. We're getting there.
The rise of the independent creator, yes, sir.
Fuck yeah.
And I don't know if you saw it, but I totally just mouthed I saw him right there when you were talking about the rise, because of course I did. But again, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, did anyone give a shit about these characters pre-MCU? I'm sure there were like the hardcore, besides the hardcore comic book fans. We're talking mainstream audiences.
Right.
Like, for God's sakes, you go back to you go back to you go back to Avengers and babysitting, where you got that little girl who's like, she worships Thor, and his older brother says Thor's a homo. It's like that was it back then. Like, nobody gave a shit about these characters, but with good actors that were well cast, like, they all did their parts extremely well until one of them got botched a bit, Thor. But they still had their good scripts for the most part. And hey, they started off strong, and we got invested in them. And the more we got to see them, we got to enjoy them more. We knew them more. And fuck's sakes, and of course their camaraderie with each other. That made it so goddamn special.
Yeah.
But now Iron Man's dead. Don't fucking bring him back.
No. Leave him alone. Let him stay dead.
Yep. Just wait. Next Marvel movie, Avengers: Secret Wars. The Vil, I don't know, what's his name? Krang? No, Kang, not Krang. Wrong movie.
Kang.
Kang is going to be like, it confirms our worst fears. Somehow Tony Stark returned. Just wait until that happens. Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised. Chris says, there are cases where a movie has something to say and they're subtle about it. They used to do it all the time in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, even the 2000s. That's not the case now. That's true. You had movies that had things that they wanted to say. Of course, they knew that they couldn't be too heavy-handed with whatever message they were pushing, because you would push people away, which is happening now. Because what is it? I mean, when you think about the big two, I mean, I say big two because DC, they lost their footing after Man of Steel. Like, they didn't have much to go with. And with what they've come out with, there's not much there at all.
No.
So that's why I say the big two. Marvel was a juggernaut. Star Wars was a juggernaut until they came out with The Last Jedi.
Oh, fuck that.
And look what they were doing. They were appealing to certain audiences, or they were just doing things that were contradictory to what the source material had laid out. and it started pushing people away. Now you had fans, and I'm talking more specifically on Star Wars at this point, and this angle, that you had people that were holding out, like, oh, they'll fix it in the Rise of Skywalker. After the Last Jedi shit the bed, you had people that were still like, no, there's a way they can bring it back. There is no way you could bring it back. I don't care if you made Kylo the villain; it wouldn't have made the movie any better.
No,
I mean, you could say that it might have been better than bringing back Palpatine, but that's like, would you rather get kicked in the balls by a mule or get kicked in the balls by a human? You're still getting kicked in the balls.
Right.
And you had people that were holding out hope. And then you had the Mandalorian show up. And the Mandalorian had an opportunity to start fixing things. And in fact, he had people that were coming out with little conspiracy theories. It's not even conspiracy. It was just hopium that, the Mandalorian was going to come in and it was going to reboot the franchise, that it was going to do a whole different sequel trilogy. No.
No. But I just want to circle back to something Chris said, because the whole messaging thing, the subtlety is the key, of course. Now, I don't care which side of this political spectrum you fall on, whether you're for or against, whatever, Republican, Democrat, I don't fucking give a shit. I mean, that's America's problem, and I'm in Canada, so. But
yet somehow it's filtering everywhere.
But again, I'm looking at this from more of a filmmaking perspective, instead of just getting wrapped up in the message, because the best way to get the message into a story, of course, like I said, is subtlety, because, getting the audience to think is how you engage it. Just inject something in there and that just makes them go, Not just, I have seen the light. I will do as you say. Do you think anyone who went and saw Black Christmas 2019, I walked out and just said, well, I need to be more respectful to women now. I didn't walk out.
Yeah, you got to do better, right?
I walked out, and then I had to go back in because my pocket knife fell out of my pocket, so I had to go back in there and get it.
Huh. Had to listen to the end credits, right?
I was quick about it. I think I took the fire exit when I went back in.
Good.
I usually do avoid the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Lightyear
was disappointing. Yeah, I just got Spider-Man 2 this week. I'm excited to start playing it this week, and I love the first one.
I hope you have fun with it. I mean,
those Mary Jane sneak missions annoy the hell out of me. I'm sorry, Danner. Go ahead.
No. I hope you really enjoy it. I want to, but at the same time, I mean, I don't know. It's not even just that. I mean, I got too many fucking games. I got too many fucking games to play. Okay, I'm sorry. I mean,
I give a shit about the Marvels.
No.
Fake accounts used only for trolling. Yeah. The title is fucking stupid. I liked Afterlife, so I'm down for a follow-up, but damn, they can't help themselves. Yeah, that's why I'm look, Afterlife, for what it was nice. They had that tribute to Harold Ramis. It was very emotional. Having them all sort of hook up together again.
Last time.
It was kind of weird for them to be fighting, Gozer again, but for what it was,
it's the flaws that I still have with that movie is the same flaws that I could apply to pretty much any modern reboot ever. It's I hate when characters always have to be the audience in a way. I mean, of course, there's nothing wrong with having that character that the audience can easily relate to, like in Ghostbusters' case, Winston. He's the most relatable character. But in Afterlife, when they fire up the proton packs and it says, "I love that sound," it's like I just don't like when characters have to say shit like that, because it's Marvel. It's Marvel shit.
Yeah.
And it breaks the immersion for me, because again, just that one tiny bit where you're not taking your situation as seriously as you should. I mean, yeah, I know Ghostbusters is silly as shit, and they had those moments in the original, but they felt a lot more organic as opposed to just, hey, I bet you'd be saying this in this situation, wouldn't you? Yes, I do love that sound of the proton pack firing up. I love that sound. It's music to my ears.
You want to know which film did it better, though? It was Ghostbusters 2 in the courtroom scene.
Oh yeah,
You had Ray,
Distiller.
Egon, and Spangler, or oh my god, Ray,
Egon
Egon,
Spangler.
and Venkman. All right, where they were firing up their proton packs. It was like Do, Ray, Egon. You know, that was a funny little scene. I remember watching that as a kid, and it was so funny. And when you compare something like that to, you know, Afterlife, it's I get what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I love that sound. It's like, oh, I think you said it better when I love this town. You know,
Yeah.
But no, I get what you mean, and that's one of the reasons I'm worried about this movie is because bringing back one last Ghostbusters film, and you know, you could have capped it off there. Like I know that they had sort of teased at the end that they're going to bring the Ghostbusters back. It's one of those things where I think you should just leave it alone, because the longer you drag it on, the worse it's going to get. Like for me, my sort of headcanon for Ghostbusters is the first Ghostbusters, obviously, Ghostbusters 2, Ghostbusters the video game.
Fuck yeah, I love that game.
And then maybe Afterlife. But even then, I don't necessarily need Afterlife. I could just go with the third one, the video game, the third film.
You want me to apply that same logic to another franchise?
Oh. I mean, yeah, you can do that. I mean,
it all ended when they rode off into the sunset. No CG gophers, no fridge nuking.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. I couldn't help myself. You keep walking into that one.
I'll throw it right back. I'll take Indy getting married to Marion after all those years. Of course.
One bit of a happy ending in a crap movie.
I'd say it's worth it. I mean,
totally.
Dial of Destiny, damn it.
Fuck that movie. No. Fuck that movie. Fuck whoever greenlit that shit, and fuck them and die. Fuck them and die. No, better yet, fuck them with a chainsaw.
That would be Kathleen Kennedy.
God damn it. And fuck you, bitch.
Anywho.
For the first 10 years, the MCU had a heart and soul with Iron Man and Cap. After Endgame and after their sign-offs, the MCU has lacked that heart and soul. Nobody are the new faces of the MCU. Yeah,
that is absolutely true. Like, who was the face during phases 1 through 3? It was mainly those guys. Like they were the top dogs. Who's the top dog now? It's not Ant-Man.
It's not Spider-Man.
It's not Thor, because, well, again, I must stress, even though he's part of the MCU, Spider-Man is not owned by Disney himself. Like the IP is Sony. Keep that in mind. I know they have this little share contract thing or whatever, but that's why I'm okay with, if they want to continue with Holland, make that strictly its own thing anymore, because, like, I hate how we come full circle on that too. Like, because when the Amazing Spider-Man movies were just not doing so well, and we were just like, come on, Marvel, Sony, guys, work something out. Get him with the Avengers, please. We love it. Civil War comes out. We lost our collective shit.
Yeah.
But now, again, the tide's turning, and now it's like, okay, Spider-Man, go do your own thing again. Like, get away from this toxic environment that is Disney.
Yeah.
Just go on. Swing on out of here.
True.
I mean, we'll come back when you have that nostalgia bait in the form of No Way Home, which I'm not shitting on that movie one bit. I really liked it. But it was nostalgia bait, but it worked in terms of getting people to go see it, and the story itself, for the most part, worked.
Disney got their money too. I mean, Sony,
I know.
Disney.
I know.
I mean, I was there. I mean, I'll admit it. We went there. Although I don't feel too bad about it, because for half of the tickets I got them for free, because I was part of the Cinemark Rewards thing, so I don't feel too bad about it. But no, I mean, I was there. I got you. I understand. It's just
my coworker bought my ticket, so.
But can I just say one thing though that I would like to compare No Way Home to? I would like to compare No Way Home to Doctor Who Day of the Doctor. You know, the 50th anniversary episode we saw in theaters. Remember that? I mean, come on.
Oh yeah, having 3 doctors, like 3 Spider-Man. Yeah, I got you.
It was like,
they fucked up that franchise too. Which Disney now owns it too. That's the sucky thing. Like, okay, Doctor Who,
sucky.
They were doing shit when they were still owned by BBC. now that Disney owns them, I mean, they've already teased the next Doctor. And what really pisses me off is that the showrunner that was responsible for basically resurrecting the franchise back in 2005, he's back, but he is peddling the bullshit drugs like every other fucking Hollywood executive. And it hurts because we had the bullshit female doctor, Dr. Nasty. I think that's what Nerdrotic called her, Dr. Nasty.
Nasty woman.
Yeah, right. And then now we have David Tennant coming back for the anniversary, I think the 60th anniversary. And then after that, he's going to regenerate again. And this time he's going to be played by this actor who I don't know, who's going to be, they're going to make the Doctor gay, apparently.
Oh, God damn it. Hey, you already have one gay character. Scratch that. 3 gay characters in Doctor Who. Stop it. You already have three's enough.
The Doctor isn't gay. The Doctor, in fact, has a wife named River Song.
And a granddaughter.
But it doesn't fucking matter. You know why? Because Disney and meddling with lore, that's like their forte at this point. Like, if you want to know Disney for anything, there's many things. But one aspect you can say is that they love to ruin lore in franchises. They like to throw that shit to the wind and keep partying forward as if they didn't lose a thing behind. Of course,
they have a scapegoat.
What is this?
The multiverse.
God damn it.
I guess
I'm sorry. I mean, even though we just talked about No Way Home, but fuck me, did the multiverse shit get old quick?
Yes.
It didn't take long. I mean, after seeing Loki get kneed in the balls several hundred times, I'm just like, where is this going again?
Wasted fan casting with Mr. Fantastic and John Krasinski. And
oh yeah, I mean, I didn't see Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness, but when I had seen clips of that scene, I'm thinking to myself, you know how many people were fan casting him, and they finally got what they wanted, only to see him get killed off in the most pathetic way possible. It's like, this is Reed Richards, considered to be one of the smartest characters in Marvel, and he gets his head fucking popped by Scarlet Witch. That is just disgusting and stupid. I mean,
you know, I'm thinking of an even worse one. I think you know which one I'm going with. Bringing back a beloved character to kill him.
Oh no!
In the multiverse.
Not Charles.
Who the fuck's Charles?
Charles Xavier.
No.
Oh yeah, he dies there too, right? It doesn't...
Well, we've seen him die twice already. I felt nothing this time.
Oh.
First, look, I mean, I didn't like X-Men 3. Obviously, I don't like that movie. But I'll admit, when he gets killed by the Phoenix, I think it was done well.
Yeah.
But it was still a shit movie. No. What character I love very much, played by someone who I love very much, being brought back recently and being the nostalgia bait in marketing because of their problematic lead actor and dying.
Batman. Michael Keaton, The Flash. You know, it's funny because I sent a picture to you guys a long time ago of this Funko Pop of the scene where the Flash is saving the babies by putting them in microwaves. That Funko Pop set is still at my job. It's just sitting there collecting dust. I find it to be utterly hilarious because that
collect flames.
Yeah, could go with that. I think that what is this? Like the Predator. I'll take the Predator, and I'll even throw in Star Wars there. Where right now the multiverse is still. I mean, it's the big kick. But have you guys noticed how certain franchises are introducing certain elements that sort of ruin the franchise? There you go. I'm going to address this comment to go into this little bit. So Drunk 3PO says, my people right here, Dial of Destiny was horrible. Yes.
I never saw it. Ha!
Good.
Good. All right.
Dodged the bullet.
Time travel. Travel. Or
the actual fuck.
Like, let's talk specifically about Star Wars and Indiana Jones, right? If there's one thing that both those franchises didn't need ever, time travel in Indiana Jones and Star Wars. Like, okay, yeah, the world between worlds thing in Star Wars. It's not entirely time travel in the traditional sense, but it's fucking time travel. Star Wars Rebels introduced it. It was a pretty bullshit thing. Dave Filoni had a hard-on to save his beloved Ahsoka. And look, I was an Ahsoka fan until they brought her into the Ahsoka series. Now, I have not watched the Ahsoka series. With that said, I have seen clips. And of course, the biggest thing, aside from her crossing her arms, is the fact that they brought in Hayden Christensen and everybody was just nerd gushing over his scenes. How he was phased between Vader and Anakin. It's like, oh my God. It's like, and then there were discussions on
so what?
There were discussions about, oh my God, maybe he's a Force ghost, or maybe he's just a vision, or some bullshit. It's fucking stupid. Great stream, guys. Keep up the great work. Drunk 3PO, we appreciate you for stopping by. It is great to see you. You know what? We ought to get you on the Warm Pop Culture sometime.
Yes,
I think you will be a welcome addition to the discussion.
More than welcome, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
I hope you caught
with
that.
open arms. And we'll get beer and pizza.
Beer and pizza.
Oh, that'll be the day.
But how the fuck is it that people haven't gotten over the nostalgia bait? Like at this point, right?
It's
with the entirety of the sequel trilogy, just the sequel trilogy. Let's not even consider The Mandalorian here for a second.
Okay.
Let's just consider the sequel trilogy. The Force Awakens was the biggest nostalgia boner you could ask for. The fucking trailer had it all. It got people in seats. That's why Force Awakens was the most profitable of the sequel trilogy, because it was the first Star Wars movie we had got in basically 10 years.
Yeah.
Last time we got it was in Revenge of the Sith. You could say, you know, the Clone Wars TV series.
Or
right?
the movie pilot thing.
Yeah, that's the Clone Wars movie that was supposed to kick off the series. But as far as a mainline Star Wars film, it was Revenge of the Sith. At that point, you had a complete saga. Yes, the prequels had their flaws, still great movies by comparison. And yes, I'll even defend aspects of Attack of the Clones, because it may not be the best executed story, but my God in heaven, the memes that generated from that movie, it's a treasure trove for me personally. But
and I'm sorry, just to go on about Attack of the Clones. I mean, well, first of all, I just noticed I have a VHS sitting right here, right on my shelf. But even with one aspect that everyone and their mother likes to make fun of, that line from Anakin, "I don't like sand." It's stupid. And the fact that that's what leads into their first kiss is fucking dumb. However, him talking about why he doesn't like sand, I kind of get it. Well, I mean, think about it. Why would he hate sand? I'll tell you why. Because he spent his early childhood years as a slave on a sand planet. So there's that. I get it. It's still a dumb line.
yes.
But
the memes. I do it for the memes.
Do it for the memes.
But hey, I'd argue Revenge of the Sith did better with the memes. I mean, come on.
Hello there.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's true. That's true. It's just. I'm sorry.
My powers have doubled since we've last met.
Good.
That's a good one.
Double the fall.
Oh.
But yeah, the sequel trilogy, it had a good start. And what I mean by good start is that they had butts firmly planted in seats because of that movie, because of all the nostalgia. And of course, people started coming out and like, oh, you know, it's a lot like a New Hope. But then people try to justify it, saying, oh, we had to get people reintroduced. And they even went as far to say the line from Laura Santek in the beginning where this will begin to make things right. You know, it's funny because part of me was like, oh, yeah, sure. Revenge of the Sith with the CGI, or just the prequels in general with the CGI, was just like, eh. And look, I mean, the clones, they look weird. It looked off, like video game graphics. It's just looking at it now, and with the context of the Clone Wars TV series and what we got with the sequel trilogy, I can look over it because overall, I'd say that it's, if you just want to take the first 6 movies, you got a nice package.
And you know, something else that dawned on me just now.
Mm-hmm.
Despite the flaws of the prequels, they had other forms of, like, they had expansions on them, which you might call it a DLC if you want. I mean, I don't think that should be a necessity to watching a movie.
Yeah.
However, like, say for instance, the Rise of the Empire campaign in the original Battlefront 2. I think that helped make the clones more interesting because, you know, you're getting those narration segments from whoever this clone is, probably the one you're playing as, with Tamara Morse in there, which I thought, you know what, this makes it more interesting. And the idea that, okay, they became their own little fucking army, but, oh, they're still making clones on Camino. Well, we got a mess to clean up here.
Right.
Like, I like that. But
shit, I would have loved to have seen it in the original trilogy. Like having clones made to fight the Empire along with the Rebels. I mean, just the I'm nerd fan.
I get it.
Yep.
And of course, with that mission, you play as Boba Fett too. So that's the cherry on top of the sundae, if you ask me. But
yeah,
like I was saying though, the prequels had like these sort of spin-offs, if you will, to expand on whatever were being shown, like the Clone Wars itself. What does the sequel trilogy have in terms of expansion?
Nothing.
Nothing at all.
Nothing.
They have these novels that are set before The Force Awakens that are sort of like filling in the gaps between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, which could have been its own movie series, by the way. Like, I mean, that's what The Mandalorian is supposed to be, right?
It was supposed to.
Sort of, but does it really expand on, like, the characters that are so prominent in that movie?
No. The material that we get for those characters, like the new sequel trilogy characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
We get little to nothing as far as expanded media on them. And that's circling back to what we were talking about earlier, where you have things that are profitable. And if there are things that are not profitable, you're not going to be seeing much of it, i.e. the sequel trilogy. Now, of course, you have this big announcement, there's going to be a new Star Wars movie, and Rey is going to be Rey, where she's going to be training a new Jedi Order. I'm thinking to myself, where the fuck was this in The Force Awakens? Why wasn't there a new Jedi Order established? Why did you have to go with the same thing where the Jedi are on the brink of extinction? Why go with that? Why repeat the same fucking process when you have plenty of material to go off of in the expanded universe that gave us so many stories? You could have taken some of the ideas, which they fucking did, and make something out of it. Make something fun. Make something good. Something that is respectful to what Lucas had given and also enticing for new and old fans alike to propel us forward. Dude, Star Wars was a juggernaut in the 2000s. You had Walmart's aisles in Walmart lined up with nothing but Star Wars. Entire aisles that were lined up with the shit. Toys R Us had aisles of Star Wars shit. And now you can barely find a fucking corner with the shit. And I'm thinking to myself, this used to be one of the most popular science fiction franchises in history. And look what it's been relegated to. All because, I gotta have my sequel trilogy. The sequel trilogy is so good. It's not good.
No, it's not.
The evidence is out there in the world. You compare what it was like back then to what it's like now, the difference is night and day.
Mm-hmm. And just something else to think about. I mean, it's also that opening crawl right at the beginning of Force Awakens. This was the look on my face when I read those 4 words: Luke Skywalker has vanished. This was the look on my face.
Vanished? Where'd he go?
What?
What?
Like, why? Where? And again, I know it's been said before, but like, no plan, no fucking plan in mind, nothing. And with that one stream you did recently with the J-Man and Co., what J-Man was saying, how clear it was with that final scene with Luke. like how he was at the end of Force Awakens to Last Jedi, it's already a big fucking like he looked emotional at the end of Force Awakens, and there was a lot of intrigue there because he knew something important is about to happen, and there's a great loss. Like he must have sensed something about Han. But hey, have a mask wears Han and not show and just cut out a scene of him mourning him. Just cut that. We don't need beloved characters mourning fucking deceased beloved characters. We don't need that. No. We don't know.
And I was about to mention something about how Star Wars was a fucking juggernaut in the early 2000s. This is, I know it's late though, but like one thing that really pissed me off though, or what is killing, or what killed the industry or the franchise, Harry Potter franchise, it was the recasting of Grindelwald from Johnny Depp to Matt Milkins. And no offense, Matt Milkins, dude, you may be a good actor, but I preferred if you just played a Bond villain, just 8 people, than play one of the most evil wizards of all time. But Johnny Depp, he was fucking made for that role. But when the whole bullshit story about him and Amber Heard going to court though, and they had to fire him because of that shit though. I mean, that's fucking stupid though. I mean, because you know why originally there were supposed to be 5 movies. 5 fucking movies, because this is a prequel to the Harry Potter franchise, and the fact that we only got like 3 because the third one was shit. The reason why the other 2 got scrapped because third one didn't do good, because guess what? You had to fucking recast Johnny Depp's, and it fucking pissed me off though. And I was hyped for 3 more to come out though. But hear me out, but just hear me out. The first 2 were very good. The third one, shut up. Johnny Depp was made for that fucking role, and just the fact that fucking cunt just ruined that fucking chance. God damn it, bitch. That goddamn bitch.
Maybe I'm a little biased because I'm not a Harry Potter fan, but I get what you're saying though. It's just
look on the bright side. We got Hogwarts Legacy.
Well, yeah. Well, that too, but god damn it, I wanted to see something really, really fucking cool though, like a fucking spin-off. Like,
you want me to
spin-off of a spin-off?
A spin-off of a franchise.
Do I have to break it to you? Do I have to break it to you, Carter? Those movies weren't that good. The Fantastic Beasts movies were not that good.
As far as like reception compared to the Harry Potter films,
the first one was okay, I'll admit to that, but second one, no, it sucked.
No, look,
Third one I didn't even watch.
I'll be honest. When we were watching the Harry Potter films, I could see that there was plenty of things you could do to like build a sort of cinematic universe out of. You could have made spinoffs. I mean, it had that sort of potential. It's just, I don't know. I don't know why it didn't really kick off as much. I mean, you had the 8 movies, right?
The 8 films.
And then Fantastic Beasts came out, and there was some intrigue.
Yeah,
I mean, again, I'm not really a Harry Potter fan, so I can't. Yeah,
but to be honest,
I can't comment.
I'm sorry, but the protagonist, Newt's commander, he's a magic zoologist, and to be honest, though, there was something about him that sort of had like that, some sort of a Matt Smith Doctor's vibe to it, 11th Doctor vibe to it, though, because he was like a little kooky though, but only and silly when he needed to, and there were some times where he did break down, all that kind of stuff though, and. And I'm just pissed off about that, though, that we never got a complete continuation, though, because in lore, the Elder Wand, the most powerful wand known to witch and wizard kind, though, is in the hands of Grindelwald, and Dumbledore gets later in a big battle, because takes place before Voldemort's time, though, everything about that. And I would have loved to see that, though. I wanted to see Dumbledore and Grindelwald go at it tooth and nail, but no, they decided to shut that shit down because of that fucking blonde bitch. God damn it, that blonde shit turd. That fucking bed shitting son of a bitch.
Well, I'd say that's a good segue into one of our other main topics for tonight. If we're talking about as far as someone getting embarrassed in the public eye, Kathleen Kennedy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Before we dive into that fucking shipwreck over there, another thing that Disney, like before they decided to be woke and shit, the one thing I did like though was the Disney era Power Rangers from Wild Force to RPM. At least they didn't have a fucking agenda in there or any other of that fucking woke policy shit. Thank God. And thank God. Thank fucking God. Saban decided to sell that decided to cancel Disney's contract and give it to fucking Nickelodeon. Thank fucking God. I did not want to see them.
Thank fucking God. Need I remind you, we went from RPM to Samurai to Megaforce, which were lame fucking seasons, by the way, while RPM, which could have been the finale, was awesome. Just saying. See, it's not just about the studio that distributes it. It's the quality of what you're getting. But, of course, nowadays, Disney, of course, like Chris said earlier, it's quantity over quality.
Yeah.
And, like, they don't give a shit about the quality anymore because, again, I'm not saying anything new here, but they put the story second, and what do they put first? The message.
Good old critical drinker.
I always, and if he happens to ever see us, sorry for botching your voice, buddy.
Hey man, you got a good deep voice. You got the Joe Swanson thing going, or the possum reviews.
The message. There. Oh God.
No,
I swear to God, I'm not him. By the way, I'm not the possum.
Well, I'll have to see both of you in the same room just to confirm.
Yeah, good luck with that.
No, but yeah, Kathleen Kennedy being basically embarrassed on South Park. Now, look, I'm going to be honest. This is nothing new. Like, how many franchises have South Park, or people and franchises? How many times have these sorts of things happened? I mean, hell, we even see it on Family Guy, right? Where a celebrity or a public figure gets berated with bullshit, sometimes rightfully so, especially with the case in Kathleen Kennedy.
South Park is a lot more savage, though, when they do this kind of shit.
Yeah, and
you want me to bring up that other time when they took a shot at someone for ruining Indiana Jones?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, not to mention though that one of the South Park episodes, they did like a episode not making fun of like Russell Crowe because he was like an asshole that would just get into concert fights willy nilly. He actually saw that episode and he was like, "Whoa, is that what I really am though?" And it sort of made him rethink his life though.
Mm.
You want to go home and rethink your life.
You know what? It's a shame that Barbara Streisand didn't rethink her life after seeing Mecha Streisand.
Oh my God!
Back
in the paper stop motion animation bullshit.
Hey, don't call it bullshit. I still love the early seasons of South Park.
Yeah.
But I will say though, I mean, like they've made it clear they don't hate the celebrities that they mock, except Barbara Streisand. But in the case of Kathleen Kennedy here, I mean, it's been a long time coming. Like, it's about time that this kind of shit that people like us and other YouTubers who cover this kind of shit, it's about time that South Park kind of brought more attention to it. I mean, yeah, and South Park, they won't hold back on.
It just muddies the waters. Like, really, like, we'll break this down. I'm going to stop this for right now. But think about the multiverse for a second. Think about what happens when you introduce a concept that nullifies consequences. That's literally what it is, because it's funny. It's funny because there was a Robot Chicken special on DC. Mm-hmm. And this particular sketch was Batman basically talking at a funeral with a bunch of other... they were doing a wake. And Batman was going on about, the typical funeral speech. And he's like, okay, hold on a second. I'm paraphrasing, but he was like, this is bullshit. We need to stop. There are multiverses. Some of us have already died here. he was basically done doing the funeral thing because we have a multiverse. We could just go to an alternate version of Earth and get the same character that's just like the one we lost, and there would be like no consequences. That's where we're at the doorstep now with Marvel because they haven't crossed that bridge yet. If you think about
they
it.
want to.
And with everything they've put out on the multiverse, they haven't breached the sacred, I don't know, duology of Iron Man and Captain America. Like, they haven't brought back those characters. I mean, you could throw in Black Widow, too, to a certain extent. I mean, you have Florence Pugh as the stand-in Black Widow, I guess. But,
Elena.
I mean, as far as bringing in those characters again, Marvel's already dead. Don't make any mistake about it. Marvel ended with Endgame. Okay. With that said, the final nail in the coffin, or the ultimate finisher, if you will, to ensure that there's no going back for a long time, would be to bring back the characters that you killed off that gave their deaths were iconic.
Mm-hmm.
They gave their lives so that everyone else could survive. I mean, that's the big thing with Iron Man. Like, you bring back Iron Man after he did what he did, it's over.
What? And again, undercutting the importance of it, which of course, Disney, you're no fucking stranger to this either. I mean, you undercut Anakin's sacrifice by bringing back Palpatine. The Vulcans stopped trying to be the shield where it's like, no, his redemption was about saving his son. It was both. Not only saving his son, but redeeming himself by destroying the one who made him this way.
Yeah.
Right? Like, all that being undercut, bring back Palpatine because, again, no direction. They didn't know where the fuck they were going. And, of course, it was, like, Vader's redemption is one of the most pivotal scenes in Star Wars.
In cinematic history.
Period. Just period. The same way Tony Stark's sacrifice is one of, if not the most pivotal moment in the MCU. Think about where he started. He's a self-absorbed, eccentric billionaire playboy asshole. But we see him grow and become, as a character, and become a lot more selfless. Like, he cares more about the people in his life. And especially after the like, it really started to show. It was showing in smaller doses as the show goes on, but he still kept his personality in check. But after their failure to stop Thanos in Infinity War, something changed. It wasn't just the arc reactor that changed him. It was failure that changed him.
Yeah.
And of course, also, this might be a contradiction, something I just thought of. Like, if they bring him back, doesn't that undercut exactly what Doctor Strange said? Like, of all the fucking timelines he searched through, only one do they win. So, if they lose in every single one of them, does that mean Iron Man survived, but they still lost? Again, I wouldn't be surprised if they crossed the bridge, though, because, again...
Oh.
Whoa.
Wait
a minute. Well, that was weird.
Hello? Shit.
He was on a roll.
Damn it. He was on a roll.
I can't hear you. Can you? Okay. Okay.
We'll probably be back.
We'll be right back. Really quick, I'm going to address the chat. Comic books are the same way multiverses, lazy writing, and their way of fixing mistake. Go ahead. With mistakes without consequences or stakes. As a fan, I like seeing Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, and I get nostalgic about stuff like that, but just because I have nostalgia for it doesn't mean the story is better. Remember, Cap told him in the first Avengers movie, telling Tony that he wasn't the guy to make the sacrifice play. Tony had a full character arc. Yeah, for sure. Yep. 14,605,000 to be exact. Yeah, you know, that's the thing. When you watch Loki, and Chris, I don't know if you caught Loki, the first season particularly, but when they introduced Loki and they introduced the TVA, I think it's called. I can't remember. It's been a while since I watched it. But when they put in the...
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
So what just happened on my end? It was showing the introduction screen. Yeah. Weird, right?
Oh.
Anyway, what was I talking about? Like Iron Man sacrifice.
Yeah.
But again, with their track record now, that's where I was. I was on their track record. Like ratings in their D+ series, like not doing as high as they should. I mean, I hear Loki season 2 ain't doing so good or something. I think I heard something like that. And of course, with the Marvels, like we know it's not going to do that well because, like, and again, back to the shills who are like I've seen people saying, "I'll wait till they learn how much the original made." Yeah, the movie that was sandwiched in between Infinity War and Endgame. Like, people kind of had an obligation to see that movie. Not because they wanted to, but now nobody cares.
Yeah.
And because, and of course, talk of the superhero fatigue. It's not just superhero. It's just garbage content fatigue, if you ask me. But, like, once they realize, hey, we're not profiting like we used to, bring back old characters, but even if it doesn't make any sense in terms of story, because now they're just following the damn money.
Yeah. But the money's running out. Like the formulas are starting to get old. Maybe this will help you remember a little bit of what you were talking about. Remember Cap told Iron Man in the first Avengers movie, telling Tony that he wasn't the guy to make the sacrifice play. Tony had a full character arc. Yeah, I mean, resurrecting the character, it's gonna ruin it, whichever way you look at it. And the thing is that they have everything they need to do so. Like, I watched back when they first released it, Marvel's What If, and they made a whole story around all the stories they were telling. And they had Marvel Zombies, which was a comic, and they decided to bring it in for this TV series. But you don't get any of the other characters; you just get the MCU characters. So it kind of ruins some of that story just a bit if you ever read the comic. But when they entered, I was addressing Chris's chat. When they introduced the TVA into Loki, it opened up a lot of doors for things to be ruined. And that's really what the multiverse and multiverse travel does, is that it starts to complicate things. It starts to muddy the waters, and you can begin fixing the consequences. And it's not even fixing them. It's ruining the plots that we had. Like, imagine in Star Wars if they went to go full on time travel with the world between worlds. They could literally take Luke or Vader out from Return of the Jedi and ruin that ending. Like, let's say that somebody saved Palpatine from being thrown over. I mean, we already know what happens when he survives. Rise of Skywalker, right? But it's still there. The ability to destroy a franchise. It's all in the power of the multiverse shit. Because you nullify...
The Banderverse now.
Yeah. You begin to nullify these stories, the sacrifices that were made. I mean, they're resurrecting these old franchises that they've been doing this for a while now. They're reverting or retconning the sacrifices made, the stories that were told, the characters, and it's getting to a point now where people don't care, and that's what really hurts. Is that's
the fatigue.
Star Wars, a juggernaut franchise, and people don't care. Like, I'm sure the people that never liked Star Wars to begin with, they're probably like, they're cheering for joy, maybe like, oh, haha, Star Wars really does suck. We've been telling you for years. It's like, no. Star Wars they didn't used to suck. But then I always say this, what we're getting, it's not Star Wars. It is Disney Wars. There's a very stark contrast, a very big difference between Disney Wars and Star Wars. And I will give some wiggle room for the sake of Gina Carano, because she's the one character that I really liked. I mean, I liked The Mandalorian initially, but after what happened with her, I mean, it was over for me. Like all the insulting, all the name calling from Ryan Johnson, all the shill fans that are saying, "Oh, you're just racist or sexist." I mean, all that it was thrown out the window. My attention to the franchise, my care for it went out when they fired Gina Carano. I want to go ahead and read this really quick because I'm glad that she's talking about this, and I mean, you have a lot of people that were feeling. I mean, they shared their views that were just. We might be able to find some of it here, but I found people saying some really dumb shit. Like they were saying that Gina Carano has officially gone over the deep end and all this other bullshit because of what she's saying. But I'll read this. This is the part where KK demands any YouTubers get censored off of YouTube for sharing and laughing at this hilarious episode. She'll have YouTube disable the thumbs down option because of the ratio she'll receive. Then she'll have her publicist Ghouls make sure Variety and Hollywood Reporter run hit pieces on the South Park creators and their families, smearing their names through every useful idiot she has under her thumb who would sell their soul to work for Lucasfilm. She'll activate her online mod to repeat that the South Park creators are racist, bigot, transphobes, and demand the South Park creators publicly apologize by only using words she approves of. And finally, she'll demand they subject themselves to a re-education course of 45 people in the LGBTQ community Zoom call to sit there and listen of how badly they got their feelings hurt all over a little boop of a South Park episode. But maybe, just maybe, the jig is up. Now, obviously, she had to interject her experience because can you imagine that shit? Can you imagine having to subject yourself or get subjected to a fucking 45-person Zoom call from these fucking LGBTQ representatives?
I wouldn't say that. I'd say lefty lunatics.
Yeah, sure. And to sit there and just get fucking they fucking lecture you about because you put beep bop boop in your fucking bio, we were extremely hurt by it. I mean, look,
I, me, my, fuck you.
I think that Western civilization is at a point where we're at a point where our civilization is gonna tumble into the sea and just be decimated. When I said this before in previous episodes, where when you have our economic and political rivals like China and Russia promoting things that the West used to uphold and defend dearly, i.e. getting married, having children, when they start promoting that shit and they start speaking out against this woke identity politics shit, meanwhile we're doing the complete opposite, it's getting bad. It's one of those things where you abandon the land, but you take the values that made you who you are with you, because now it's being promoted elsewhere. So the only one of the things that you're losing is you're losing the land that you grew up on, the land that your forefathers defended and fought to have. That's the sort of bitter pill to swallow. That okay, if your country is going to hell in a handbasket, the logical and sensible thing to do would be to leave the fucking country and go to a place where those values that you hold dear are being promoted elsewhere. It's just you have a connection to the land because so much has happened in order for you to be where you are, and then to sort of to have to abandon it. It's not so much abandoning; it's just fleeing from the chaos. You know what I mean? I think about these things, man. I think about it when I'm at work and I see people just being completely oblivious, or they just don't give a shit. And it's a discussion that's not merely about how good or bad a movie is. When we get on to this show and we, sort of pour our hearts out for these franchises, because they meant something.
Yeah.
And they still do mean something. I can't completely say that they don't mean anything anymore, because we can still hold on to what we grew up with. We can still hold on to what help to make us who we are. Because the truth of the matter is that certain franchises that people connect with inspire them to go do great things with themselves, whether it be founding your own business, or helping you beat an illness or a disease, or inspiring you to go to the gym and get in shape,
or join the military.
Yeah,
Anything
I
like
mean,
that.
any of these aspects, that's what some of these franchises were able to do for people.
Exactly. Like the binary sunset scene in A New Hope is a perfect example of that. Like, just Luke staring off into the sunset, wondering if there's something out there that's greater for him. And I don't need to say anything about that scene other than it being cinematic perfection.
Yeah.
Especially with John Williams' score.
Yeah.
Give me back that land.
Hey.
What's going on?
I feel that.
Filthy Dan.
I'm Dirty Dan.
No, filthy. Not dirty, filthy. Get it right.
Dirty Dan is someone else.
Yeah.
No, but I mean,
Pinhead.
you're right, Danner. I mean, that scene sure as hell inspired me. It was so beautifully well done, and when you think about the context of it, it makes it even better. Like, taking it at face value with the beautiful music and the character just looking at the sun setting, I think we've all been there, haven't we?
Yeah.
Where we're at a very beautiful piece of land, and we're seeing the sunset, and you hear that music playing in the background. The scene is playing in your head as you're watching the sunset in real time. And you sort of get that sort of inspirational, like, there's more out there. We just have to, kick our boots off and run towards it,
Yeah.
Run towards the freedom. Fight for that freedom,
Right.
That's why we defend it, right? Getting to a point now where we're heavily critiquing these franchises, and it's not because we're toxic. I mean, we've already discussed this 100 times, but it's worth discussing it again, that when we critique these franchises, it's not because we're haters. If we didn't give a shit about these franchises, we would just say, oh, they've ruined one of my beloved franchises, whatever, moving on. Or the logic of it is not there when they say, oh, you're just a hater. No. For a lot of those people that are saying that we're haters, these are the people that weren't into these franchises. Marvel, DC, how many people made fun of these franchises saying that they're for kids, that they're childish things?
Fucking brain dead jocks.
I have people I know personally that sort of have that mindset where it's like, oh, these don't mean very much because it's just things for kids. It's almost like you're demeaning what a child consumes. We have to remember that children, we were all there, are very impressionable. What we see, we sort of adapt to ourselves and we become that. Okay. So if you have a character in Luke Skywalker who's around the same age as we were, maybe a little older when we watched Star Wars, and we're sort of in that sort of mindset where we're starting to grow up out of our adolescence and starting to make our place in the world, where we all had our binary sunset moment. We all had that moment where we were standing there thinking, okay, what's going to happen next? Where are we going to go? Can we go? Can we attain what we want to attain? To aspire to become more than what society might want us to be. Things like these sorts of questions are things that a good movie can inspire people to think about. Good movies can inspire you to think rather than inspire or tell you what to think, right? I mean, you've already said it, Nana. You said it. I can't remember who said it first. I think you on the channel, you said it. I can't remember. The point is that a movie or a TV show, a good piece of media is good it's good when it tells you to think rather than what to think.
Yep, that's exactly what I was saying. Like, getting the audience to think is a good way to engage the audience.
Keeps them coming back for more, I'd say. Like, if you got something that's like sort of like a hook.
Or basically hook, line, and sinker.
I mean, even with something like They Live, it's not a one-sided message. but it's still enough to make you think about the real world that we live in the heavy commercialized world that we live in. Like, is there something more sinister behind it all?
Gloria, you look like shit. Sorry,
Yeah,
I love that line.
I'd say there is, considering what we've seen. It's a propaganda, social propaganda, where you shouldn't be speaking out against the government, or you can't be speaking out against the current thing, and it's not exclusive to like mere social things like, you know, reparations for black, you know, for descendants of slaves, right? Or LGBT things. It's, oh, are you supporting Ukraine? Are you supporting Israel? Are you supporting Mossad or Hassad or whatever the shit is?
Hamas.
Hamas, there you go.
Or
Russia.
Well, again, I mean, it's going. I mean, I like to use that red letter media quote. It's always for them. It's always don't ask questions, just consume products, and then get excited for next product.
Yeah.
Or loyalty to Disney, loyalty to the brand, loyalty is salvation, loyalty is life. It's like, just stop questioning everything. Don't critique. Just shut up, consume, reproduce, obey.
Or to also quote red letter media.
Oh shit!
Oh, what the hell? It happened again.
What the fuck?
Can you hear me this time?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. It wasn't
Weird.
as bad this time.
No, but to also quote red letter media again. So, how does it feel to live long enough to see all your favorite franchises go up in flames? Feels great. I think
really.
we were all at that point, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, how does it feel to live long to see all your? It's like, oh yeah, it feels great.
I'd rather they just have their endings and be done with it, because we'll always have them to go back to.
That's
you
true.
know, to be honest though, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you know, with all their bullshit, you know, thank you. Consume this, buy, like, obey, you know, buy this product, you know, shit like that. You know what I would rather do?
What?
I would like, let me give an example. I would like to buy Disney, Star Wars, and Marvel toys and merchandising. Thank you. Let me.
Oh my god!
Wait,
fell for it again.
Yeah. Anyway, so what I would do is, or what I would sanely do, I would buy Disney merch for that would involve Marvel and Star Wars. And you know what I would do?
You would sanely do? Why are you?
Okay, but no. Like but there's a point to it. I have a point.
No, wait, don't be like Kid Rock that bought all the fucking Bud Light beers just to shoot them. Like,
no.
I get
I'm
that
gonna
people.
shoot him, no.
I get that people were like really excited when he did that because of the whole Dylan, the asshole that.
Yeah,
thinks
the
he's
fucking
a
fucking
But think about this:
Tiffany.
he buys those fucking beers, giving money to that fucking corporation just to shoot them. It's like,
or
you're giving your own money.
Okay.
And then shooting them in protest, but you're still giving them your money.
Actually, let me rephrase that. I would buy the clearance stuff.
Disney's and you're still giving them money.
Buy.
Okay, well, I would rather buy it than having to do a 5-finger discount. I don't want to go to jail.
Or you could
then you just don't do it at all.
The reason why,
or just buy from someone on online marketplace or something. Just buy it secondhand.
Yeah, I'll just get like a secondhand Disney, Star Wars, or Marvel products. Secondhand, I would buy it or from secondhand buyer. And what I would do to it, I wouldn't shoot it because I wouldn't want to waste a fucking God knows how much money a bullet's worth on it. What I would do is I would recreate the scene from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade when they're in Berlin where they're doing the book burning, but have that shit in there with the music playing in the background.
I don't know. I don't really like book burning.
It's not it's not considered. I would be considered more like a big fuck you to Disney to them. Hey, Kathleen Kennedy, this is what
that would be wasting good fuel on something I don't really need to burn. Go sit in the landfill.
I could use that to get home. Like, what if I'm low on gas? You ever think of that?
Or I could just use.
Here's my thing. Watch this.
Well, God damn it! I wanted to recreate the scene out of the Last Crusade.
Yes, I
All that
understand.
shit.
Just understand this, though. This is what you don't want to do. I don't want people to forget about the sequel trilogy. I don't want people to forget about all the bad shit we've experienced. You know why? Because if we start covering it up, like how history has been covered up, then we are doomed to repeat the bullshit.
Exactly. Like,
you let people know. Like, that's why I don't say, oh, don't go watch this movie. You're going to regret it. It's like, because one, people aren't going to listen. Two, when you tell them not to do something, they're just going to go do it anyway. So I say this, you know what? You want to go see it? Go see it for yourself. Come to your own conclusions. If you want to go waste your money, that's your fucking business. For me, I have wasted my money. I've seen that road, and I'm not going to go back down that road because I already know what's waiting for me. You know, it's kind of like when James Rolfe, Cinemassacre, gave his non-review for Ghostbusters 2016. He literally said it. Why would I go spend money for a movie I know I'm not going to like? Yeah.
And like you were saying, though, don't want to forget the sequel trilogy because people like to say how, oh, in good time, people will go to appreciate it like they did with the prequels. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. If anything, the only light that would come out of it to look at the sequel trilogy as a positive example would be like what I've said many times about Batman and Robin. They're going to point at that and say, okay, don't do this. Because, again, as bad as Batman and Robin is, I'm glad it exists. Because look at where we went after that. We actually started to get good superhero movies again. They just had a bit of a tip down, but then, okay, starting picking up the pieces with Blade, X-Men, and Spider-Man. Batman Begins, the Dark Knight trilogy, the golden age of the MCU. We probably wouldn't have gotten there were it not for that misfire.
Like
why do we fall?
And
so that
and
we
also,
can learn to pick ourselves up.
Exactly.
Sorry.
To give credit to Mr. Joel Schumacher, rest his soul, he was man enough to just say, "This was my fault. I'm sorry." Like he knew it sucked, and the fact that he took it and just said, "Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset anybody. I just wanted to entertain you." But the studio, they kind of made me just make this toyetic film.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Chris says, I got bullied for being into comic book superheroes, nerd culture growing up. I'll never forget that. That was before all this was considered cool and mainstream. That's the biggest thing. That a lot of these people that scream to the top of the world that you're a toxic fan or you're just a hater, these were the same people that didn't give a shit about these franchises until it was cool to like them.
Until it started pandering to them.
Yeah, there you go. Meanwhile, we're here. We've always been supporting them since we were kids. And now all of a sudden, oh, we're not welcome in the community because you say we're being toxic. You're the ones that's being toxic by telling us we're toxic. You're the ones that are toxic for blindly supporting something. You never want to blindly support something. You always want to have some level of doubt or critique because nothing is perfect. You want to be able to evaluate something and make sure that this is, at least going in the direction that you want it to go, that you think is your cup of tea, right?
Yeah, sort of like me.
If it's not going the way you really want it to, you can always get off the train, right? Figuratively speaking. But for these people that go out here and say they're bullshit, they don't understand that. At least not on the same level that we do. They just look at what they want to look at in the franchise and say, okay, well, now that this particular franchise is appealing to this particular community, it's good. The problem is that a lot of these people that are in that mindset, they're not fans of these franchises. That's why these movies are failing. It's not just because the people that would support these films are leaving. It's because the people that these corporations are, what am I looking for? That they're appealing to. They're not supporting the franchises. They're just there at face value that, oh, as long as this particular movie or TV show has representation, blah, 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 then we'll say, yeah, it's cool. But if you don't have it, like, for example, it appears that you can't have a movie or a TV show that is strictly full of white characters. I use white because that is the predominant ethnic group, I guess, if you want to call it that is being targeted, that has been targeted, bless you.
Excuse me, thank
past,
you.
Okay, shut up.
For the past several years. Like, it has been very popular for the past several years to shit on white people. Like, I've seen videos, like I saw this one video, it kind of resurfaced up in my feed, where you had this white couple that was in one of these U.S. cities, and you had these black guys that were talking about how they wanted reparations for slavery, and then they had this white couple come up and start kissing their boots as a form of reparations to pay for the sins of their ancestors or something. They're literally kissing their dirty ass boots. It's disgusting. Okay. And I wouldn't want anybody of any background or skin color to fucking do that, because that's just fucking retarded.
No, that's about as dumb as, like, say, I don't know, you see a Japanese family out in the street and you say, hey, start kissing my feet. You owe me an apology for Pearl Harbor.
Yeah. I mean, especially with how popular Japanese culture is today.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I'm working because of the Japanese, so
there you go. I mean, so look, the bottom line of it all is that we need to be speaking, and it's happening. I'm just saying it just to say that we need to point this shit out. We need to weed it out. Because at this point, you got two choices. One, you abandon the ship and you go create a new ship. And when you create the new ship, you vet the fuck out of it. And I'm talking particularly for franchises. So for me, I'm in the process of making my own universe, my own comic series, my own story. Okay. Whenever it gets big, I'm vetting the fuck out of it. I'm making sure that I have as much creative control as possible. If I want to, give it to a studio to make a movie or TV show, whatever. But I am keeping a close eye on it. I'm keeping a very tight grip, because I'm building this universe. I'm going to be introducing these characters, and the last thing I want is for some arrogant studio head to start meddling with the shit, changing my characters, changing my story. These are things that you have to do. Like, if you're in the creative space and you're going to be creating your own universe, you need to gatekeep the fuck out of it, because you're going to have people...
Put a girl in it, make her gay and lame.
Yes.
Couldn't help it. You knew it had to come. I had to incorporate it to even your own little creative series there.
Right. Yeah. So
there's hoping that never happens.
Right. It won't. But you need to gatekeep. Like, I know that gatekeeping had some negative connotations on it for certain franchises. I mean, that was a what was it, Gamergate? Yeah, right. With that in mind, look at what happened. A lot of video games today, like, I find it very funny. Like, for example, when Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga came out, I had been following it for a while, and that game had so many fucking bugs. Like, for me, I've played Lego games for years. And yeah, I've run into a few bumps in the road on them. Like, some of them had some weird shit happen. But that game had so many fucking bugs. What I find very disgusting is how games seem to be shipped out or released to the public incomplete.
Superman 64.
And it's not even just about DLC, right? Like, DLC is one thing, but if you give us a complete game that is, relatively polished, I'm not talking about something that's perfect. It's just, if you have, like, fucking Spider-Man 2, Marvel Spider-Man 2, I saw this guy play the game, and he was encountering some weird visual bugs. Like, characters were completely untextured. And it's a major title. Yeah, there's always going to be games that have a few bugs, but fuck, dude, with the amount of money you have and the amount of time that you have to develop these things, it just feels like the quality has dipped severely. And that's sort of like a common thing for the entire industry, not just video games. But again, that whole quantity over quality thing, it's frustrating. It's frustrating that we can't have. I don't know, man. I'm rambling at this point. I keep saying
but you're
this.
right.
Mm-hmm.
You're absolutely right, though. I mean, quality control. Where has it gone? Put aside in the name of appeasing someone like Anita Sarkeesian? I mean, fuck that noise. She's a complete airhead, okay? But even with her feminist frequency shit talking about the damsel in distress trope, I must remind you that a lot of the games that they talk about were games made in Japan, yet they're applying American principles to their stories. Like, well, because I don't know, it's like some kind of blind sense of morality because you're an American, or wait, she's Canadian. No. Jesus Christ.
It's okay. We all have our embarrassing countrymen.
Men? What about the embarrassing country women and embarrassing country they thems? Are you being exclusive?
Oh my God!
Bigot?
Shut.
I identify as a baseball.
Yeah, well, I identify as a bullshit button.
But it is kind of funny though. I mean, because Japan, I want to go visit Japan for multiple
Same.
reasons.
Me too.
Fuck yeah. Tokyo, let's go.
Pack our bags. Let's go. You don't hear a lot of criticism from the Japanese or like about Japanese material necessarily. Like I know there were a few things like Cowboy Bebop, like the American the Netflix series that only got one season that was canceled. I want to remind people that you had one of the actresses playing in one of the leads spewing off her fucking mouth. And it just so happens to this one will be for you, Danner. She played in the second Jurassic World movie. She was the girl with the glasses. Yeah, she went on a tirade about how I'm sorry that we didn't get a girl with bigger boobs and all this stuff. And what's really funny is that with a lot of these projects, you have people that cosplay as these characters. And they do a hell of a lot better of a job than these Hollywood funded productions.
That's pretty fucking... It's like in contrast to the whole independent entertainment kind of rising above Hollywood's produced content.
Yeah.
It's there. I mean, but again, everyone just takes these criticisms at face value. They just take, who's saying all this stuff? Oh, it's a man? Okay, so it's sexism, it's racism. Oh, he's white. So this is why people get turned away from modern entertainment anymore, is because you can't have an opinion anymore on any movie, video game, comic, or series. I've rambled about this before, but like the climate that we're in, where it's like you got to have this opinion or you're a bigot. It's like, why do you think these movies, these projects fail? It's because of you. You're always trying to make us feel bad just so you can guilt us into liking it, even if we don't. That's bullying for one.
Yeah.
And that's just why I just speak with my wallet and say, no. Just no. And of course, when they fail, they always try and flip the coin and, perpetuate the self-victimization cycle. Like going back to 2019 with Charlie's Angels.
Oh, God.
Men have to see this movie. Okay, first they're playing that this movie isn't for you. This one's for the whammon. But then the movie flops. Why didn't the men go see the movie we said wasn't for them?
It's kind of an oxymoron. I mean,
yeah.
I don't think they realize what they say sometimes.
And this is where you don't do the whole gatekeeping thing, because if this gatekeeping is based on identity politics, well, then you're just alienating people. I know there were probably some people who didn't catch wind of any of this shit, and good for them. Ignorance is bliss in this case. But they could have been interested, but you fucked it up. You shit the bed. You made it all about identity politics, and no one wants that shit. Just go see a movie and be entertained, but you can't sell them anymore. You can't sell this shit by constantly bitching and moaning about racism, misogyny, or istophobia, whatever. You can't fucking sell on this shit. No one's buying it.
Yeah.
And the same way, you can't sell anything when you're doing like a reboot or something, and you clearly have no interest in the source material, and then you end up getting delayed because you know what? It's in the thumbnail, but we didn't bring it up. But I think we should at least give it some attention. Snow White, whatever.
Ethnically
Rachel
ambiguous.
Zegler, ethnically ambiguous dirt or something.
That's what you did.
Let me rephrase that. Blow White.
No,
because this movie blows.
No.
It hasn't even come out yet. I can't say it blows. I mean, it's gonna suck. It's just.
And
I mean, again, like, you know how I am about these fucking live action Disney remakes. I mean, and again, they always try and cater to the wrong kinds of people. Like when you see that interview with Rachel Zegler and Gamalnatarian,
Gal Gadot.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. I'm not cutting her any slack. She deserves to get hated on for that stupid Imagine crap. But,
yeah, that too.
Oh, in this version, she doesn't get saved by the prince. Like,
what the fuck?
Because of course, as the Critical Drinker says, it has to reflect the world we live in today. Always catering to people who complain about how problematic this kind of story is on social media. It's like,
well, think about. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Like, I am so sick of the whole how the man saves a woman is a form of objectification. Like, yeah, how dare he risk his life and everything just to save your sorry ass?
Yeah,
like,
I guess we should just left. I guess we should have left the princess in the castle to be killed by the dragon, right?
Or better yet, just lay in the woods in a glass coffin to wither away.
Or she could just wait up in that tower, wait for the prince to climb up her hair, but it turns out he's too fat and ends up scalping her. That's from a Simpsons Halloween episode. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of the Simpsons, guess what's happening? After 30 years,
hold on. I've actually heard that might just be a rumor.
Oh.
Because even the Simpsons page, they actually posted something showing Homer strangling Bart, so I don't know. I mean, yeah, Fox is owned by Disney now, for fuck's sakes, but like, look, obviously Homer strangling Bart is wrong, but it's a fucking cartoon. But if you're gonna remove it, what example are you setting that disciplining your children is wrong? Like, it's not wrong. I mean, obviously, yes, there always has to be a line drawn. Like, a swat on the butt ain't gonna kill your kid. Like, they might go off to a room crying because it hurt a bit, but give them time to reflect on what they did was wrong, and they took their punishment.
Yeah, that's the thing. And that's the thing.
We've all had to have been there at one point.
Yeah, and you know what? That's the thing nowadays. This whole fucking wishy-washy, bleeding heart vagina bullshit, though. Like saying that if you smack your kid for doing something they're not supposed to do, like let me give you an example. If I beat the shit out of my kid for doing something I specifically told them not to do, and they do it anyway, and they call the cops on me, that's fucking child abuse. They say, "Oh, I just beat them for no reason," which is fucking stupid, though. But here's the thing, though. That's called fucking disciplining them. If you tell a kid not to do something, like, I don't know, tell them not to stick their finger in a light.
Define beating the shit out of them, though.
Like beating their ass to the point where they can't fucking sit.
Hey, you know what? Speaking of child abuse, I think we can all agree that making your kid go trans is also child abuse.
Yes,
like, giving them hormone blockers, telling them or giving into their adolescent mind that, oh, I'm actually a woman when I'm a boy.
Okay. I'm sorry. Like, How the fuck did this stream turn into a topic about child abuse?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No. Yeah, thanks a lot. But there's something I just wanted to bring up. I saw this very recently, and this just disgusted me to my fucking soul. Like, again, going back to the whole social media thing, it's not just young people that it's really poisoned their minds. It's older generations too. Like that could be same could be said for Gen Xers or more. Like I saw this video of this mom who's like some kind of vlogger or something. She's sitting in her car with her kid, wanting to take a picture with the kid looking sad for a thumbnail because their dog died. Mm-hmm. And like she's telling him to look like really sad and cry a certain way, but like the kid's really fucking crying.
Yeah.
Like just listening to him say like how fucking sad he is, like that's fucking devastating, and you're exploiting his trauma of losing a pet. Like the kid's fucking devastated, and you're using it for clout. That is disgusting.
Like in another example, like fucking Daddy of Five though, like the invisible ink prank gone horribly wrong. That's considered child abuse though. Anyway, as I was talking about the child abuse thing though, back in my day, if I did something I wasn't supposed to do and I fucking did it anyway, or basically I got my ass spanked for fucking lying though, because my dad, he does not like lying though, and if I did something wrong, he beat my fucking ass to the point where I can't fucking sit though. That's disciplining though. If you just beat the shit out of your kid because you're either drunk, you're on drugs, or you just don't give two fucks, that's fucking child abuse to the point where they're either broken, wounded, or to a coma, or they're fucking dead. Then that's fucking child abuse. There's a difference between disciplining and fucking child abuse. Homer Simpson, just like, I'm not sure what Bart does. I know he does a bunch of stupid shit and he deserves to get fucking get his neck wrung though. But at least there are some points he deserves it though. But there's just some points though. I'm like, that's like Homer's shtick to do.
It's a cartoon.
It's a cartoon, not to mention it's like a shtick for every franchise though. You have like an example, like everybody shitting on Meg, like shut up Meg, and Homer just choking Bart though, because that's their shtick though. But if you remove the shtick, it's not the same though. It's like replacing. That's like making what the fuck is it? Like giving a fucking fat person a veggie burger and they eat it though, and it's like it's not the same though.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I think we should just move on from that topic now.
Okay, yeah.
But even with the back to snow, ethnically ambiguous dirt.
Let me phrase that. How white?
No. Dirt. Anywho, fuck. Like, not just with it being delayed, you saw the CGI dwarves.
Oh my god, dude, they look like shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's not going to fix a damn thing.
Nightmare fuel.
Well, let's not forget to mention that they're not small. Like they look pretty fucking big.
They look taller than her. And
yeah, they're dwarves.
Do you not like if you want to have a dwarf? Oh, I'm pretty sure the reason why they didn't put dwarves in there is because if they put midgets in there, they think, oh, that's midgetist, or like short people, or like
ableist. That's what they would
like,
probably.
Wow,
but,
because
Peter Dinklage. Hold on a second. Peter Dinklage made a stink about it. He made a stink about it. Yeah. So that played a part from what I heard. Of course, we can't forget about Rachel Zegler's thoughts about the original Snow White.
Not liking it for one. I mean, like the fact that she seems to not like Snow White, I just find to be just fucking stupid. I mean, I know we brought this up in a previous episode, but give what's her face who played Tokenized Mermaid a little credit. At least she seemed like she likes the original movie. I'll throw her that little milk bone if you want, but and same to Emma Watson when it came to Beauty and the Beast, but to just basically, oh no, that old one, oh, so problematic. I have to give it my own update. Weird. Ugh, I hate that fucking.
Dude,
I hate that.
Dude, the fucking remake of Beauty and the Beast, though, it felt like it was just fucking. It was like Hermione Granger without her fucking magic. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit?
Oh well, I thought you would have
That
liked
was-
it though because you're a
that
Harry
was
Potter
the-
fan.
Well,
That
true,
was-
but I'm
that was
on.
not
I'm
e-
on the fence.
That's not even a little bit the. That's not even beginning to scratch the surface of that movie's problems.
I'm on the fence
But-
about it.
But
On the fence.
but not. Jesus fucking Christ.
He made a Peter Dinklage about it. Or
Dinklage.
Stinklage. Yes, that's appropriate.
But I mean, you can't tell me you can't hire dwarf actors because they do fucking exist. I mean, think about Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. They made it during like the fucking late
70s.
60s. No, late 60s, early 70s. And they filmed it in Germany. And they were still able to get dwarf actors after the Holocaust. But you can't do it now because for some reason having people that actually represent people from different walks of life is somehow problematic. It's like you want representation, but then you complain about it when it happens. Like that I hate the term, the W word, but I'm gonna say it anyway. It's the woke mind virus.
Yeah.
Like, and even applying it to like real life, like Aunt Jemima.
Land of
Fucking,
Lakes.
fucking disgusting. Like, you know how many times I had Aunt Jemima's syrup with my pancakes?
Mm-hmm.
I love
Well,
that shit. It was good.
Yeah.
But the worst part is, like, even people who were related to that woman, like descendants, even they're just kind of, they're not happy about it.
Yeah, you're
Like-
removing her face.
Like,
I
they were
mean-
proud of it. Like, that was, like, something that their family stood for. It's like, hey, look, she's part of our family representing an entire company that makes syrup. How nice. But, again, it's not just the woke mind virus, it's the white savior virus.
Not to
And
mention everything.
it's always the people that just feel like I have to complain about all the problematic situations that every other culture has faced and accuse everyone of a cultural appropriation just to prove that I'm a good person. Like, the whole cultural appropriation thing drives me insane. Like, think about this for a second. If someone were, let's just say you go to the food court at the mall and you decide you're going to get Chinese food. I mean, I wouldn't go to the one at the food court. I'd go to the one that's across the street and order in, but let's just say you do that. You order your food, you sit down, and of course, you got the chopsticks to eat your food with. Again, that's something else I wouldn't do, not because of cultural appropriation. I just can't fucking handle it.
Hey, I get it.
I need a fork, okay? But next thing you know, some blue-haired, overly pierced and tattooed motherfucker who you can't
Look, you
tell probably has one boob, one ball, and a vag. Who knows at this point? Some carbon-based life form walks up to you and starts complaining that you eating Chinese food with chopsticks is cultural appropriation. It's appreciation, really. Because if we're not expanding our horizons, what else is there to do? Like, that's segregation they're fighting for, not diversity and inclusion. It's segregation. That's all it is. And let me just say, like, these Chinese immigrants who moved to this continent, because, they didn't come here to, well, you're in Canada, I'm in Canada and you're in the States, but that's why I said continent. But they did not move to this continent to start their business and share their culture by serving their types of food that's so prominent in their culture to have you complain about it. Just to prove that I'm totally not racist. Again, I said this before, people who complain about this shit, they are the ones with the skeletons in their closet.
Well, I'll say this, that cultural appropriation thing is practically non-existent in those countries. Like, I saw this video. Basically, this person was showing some random people in Japan on the street a Katy Perry music video where she had Japanese attire on. She had a traditional kimono, and there's a lot of Japanese imagery. and people were complaining that video was culturally appropriating Japanese culture.
Mm-hmm.
And when this person that was doing the video was showing the video and talking to these people, they said they liked it because it was showing that there were other people that were indulging in their culture. They were appreciating that other cultures were taking a liking to their culture. I mean, it's happening with anime. There's also a really good reason why anime and manga has been dominating the States, especially with the numbers, like the sales. Like, it's insane that Japanese comics and cartoons are outpacing American comics and cartoons in our own country. That's sad. Like, don't get me wrong at all, that I love the fact that people are liking anime and manga. It's a really nice venue, especially considering what we're getting today. With that said, it is shameful that we cannot get back on the fucking horse because you have people that want to virtue signal to these different groups to remain relevant and remain funded slightly. But it's a double-edged sword because on one hand, yeah, you appeal to these ideologues that don't give a shit about your franchise. So you get their skin level support. At the same time, they're not going to stick by your brand. They just want to make sure that you're staying in line, that you're going along with the flow and not deviating into another path, which is why it's failing, because they've been appealing to these people for so long. The money's starting to run out. They, being Hollywood, have profited and stood on an empire of legacy. And now that money is starting to run out, which is why I think we can all guess the Marvels is not going to do well at all.
No, it's fucking not.
You have a sort of trifecta of tokenization in one fucking movie. It's hilarious. And we're also in a time where Marvel is at a decline because think about how many projects they've come out with. And what, 2, maybe 3 projects have been okay. The biggest success, I would say, is No Way Home, and that's only because you had the return of legacy characters. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm very sure, like almost 100% positive, that a lot of the people that went to No Way Home for Maguire and Garfield, not for Holland.
That's very much true. I mean, I will admit this was Holland's best run as Spider-Man. I'll give him that. But even I will say I think the best of them was actually Andrew Garfield in this case.
Yeah.
Just because his redemption there was another pivotal moment that I love so much. But then, of course, people laughing when he got emotional. When it's like,
that was bad, man. When you told me that, those are people that apparently either didn't watch Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, or they forgot about it.
Or they're always, or it's just that whole fucking Marvelized humor that they're so fucking used to at this point where, that's so funny. Because everything's a joke. Like, I was not laughing. I was like, that was very powerful. And I was smiling because Bretman called it. He said that was going to happen. And it's like, oh, he fucking called it. He fucking called it.
$5 as he was cheering for it.
Oh, fuck yeah. I would kill just to have been sat next to him for that one.
Yeah. I've had a couple moments with Carter in that sort of mindset, being at the theater. It's one of the things I kind of miss about going to the theater back in the good old days is that sometimes you would get some really hilarious audience reactions. And it's like you're there for it, right? Like you and the audience are there cheering on something really cool or laughing at something incredibly hilarious. I miss those days.
Or telling a movie to fuck off with its shitty fan service. Get to the choppers.
Fuck you!
How about Rise of Skywalker ripping off Endgame? That was
I had to say it out loud. I couldn't help it.
I mean, it was one of those things where it's like, I can't believe they're actually doing this. Of all the things that they're doing, they're actually ripping off Avengers Endgame. And that's the thing that I'm not seeing a lot of people complain about. Like, more than they should. Like, don't get me wrong, there have been people that have pointed it out, obviously. It's just it seems like people aren't complaining about it as much as I thought they would. Because they're literally ripping off the dialogue. Like, that's bad. That's bad.
And having the hero making a sacrifice and dying, it's like only to resurrect her and then give us a fan service moment that no one except for Raylos wanted. Like, and then kiss of death.
Oh, not to mention not only ripping off Endgame, also ripping off another classic film. The fucking Goonies. Like, god damn it. Remember that fucking Sith dagger? Like, when she fucking pulled it out and it aligned with the fucking remake fucking Death Star? I'm like...
That was the dumbest fucking shit ever. How convenient that is the exact wreckage of the fucking Death Star to align perfectly with the pattern of that dagger.
Watch Mahler's video about the Rise of Skywalker, and he points something out that
Don't get me started.
Do you know how impractical and unrealistic that is? Like, Star Wars not supposed to be realistic, but that said, there's certain logics that even fantasy franchises abide by. Realistically speaking, whether it's
have rules
in this real world or in the fantasy world, there's no fucking way in hell that Death Star wreckage is going to exactly line up with that fucking dagger 30 years later. It's not going to happen.
Speaking of the dagger, horrible things have happened with this dagger. Let me say that while I'm holding this weapon that was used in mass genocide.
Oh, God.
You know what? Speaking of lightsabers, this is something I kind of forgot to mention when we were talking about Obi-Wan. But that was the first time they started introducing the getting stabbed in the stomach with a lightsaber has no real consequences.
Oh, and they went overboard.
Yeah.
You stabbed First there was stabbing Kid Reva, then Grand Inquisitor, and then Reva again.
And she still survived. And then on top of that, the Ahsoka series with Sabine. Now look, I like Sabine in the Rebels animated series. I thought she was an all right character. She was kind of cool. And
hairstyle.
Yeah, a little bit. I like her hairstyle in the first part of Ahsoka. Like I saw the trailer, having her with the long hair it looked nice. I like women with long hair, sue me. But then they cut her hair really, really short. Like I don't mind short hair. Like this is like a personal thing. Certain length I don't necessarily mind, but they turned her into a fucking like butch character. And I'm just like, but that's beside the point. She gets fucking stabbed and walks off a lightsaber gut stab like it was nothing. Like, oh, it was just a minor inconvenience. And I'm thinking about Qui-Gon Jinn and
just a flesh wound, I guess.
And Han Solo, like, oh, is this a fucking
but Han Solo he falls off a fucking balcony. Even if he survived the stab, he's fucking dead because he fell off the damn balcony. Okay.
Oh, and in the fucking Obi-Wan series, like when Leia is in trouble, and guess what Obi-Wan has to do? He has to find his lightsaber and Anakin's lightsaber, and guess where they were? Buried under the fucking sand. What does that remind you of? The fucking Rise of Skywalker. Remember that shit?
Remember? When did the Obi-Wan... I didn't finish watching the Obi-Wan series.
Okay, so that was like... I forgot what episode it was, but there was a moment when Leia was in trouble. What's his fucking name? The guy from Alderaan. Bail Organa sent to Obi-Wan saying that my daughter's been kidnapped. I need your help. And so he goes to the fucking desert, a certain spot in the desert, digs with a shovel.
Yeah. I remember now.
Anakin's shovel, a lightsaber, and his lightsaber. I'm like, why the fuck did you do that? Why would you bury that there? Do you not know what could happen? Like Maybe some random sandstorm will blow the sand away. Maybe a Jawa or some fucking Tuscan Raider could find that shit. Why did you do that? Like there was a figure, like it was like some sort of a statue or action figure. It was like a posable one where it was like a hermit Obi-Wan, like after Order 66, he's like looking after Luke and stuff. He had his lightsaber, Anakin's lightsaber, and Qui-Gon's lightsaber. Where the fuck is Qui-Gon's lightsaber? Was it destroyed? Like, because that would have been nice to see. But even the fucking Force Ghost appearance of Qui-Gon, I mean, no disrespect to Liam, that was like, but like, it would have been nice to see Qui-Gon's old lightsaber as well. I mean, even though he's dead, though, it would have been nice to kept it like a.
I wouldn't have been happy with it because that would be just another character that they decide to ruin.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at that point, I mean, after the firing of Gina Carano, I was pretty much done. Like seeing Ewan again in isolation, context removed. Same thing with Hayden. It was nice seeing them back in the saddle. It's just, if it wasn't a fan project, that would be a different story. Like, hey, I can get behind a Star Wars fan project that brings the characters back. Fuck yeah, why not? But it's under Disney.
Just as long as Disney keeps their fucking mitts off of it.
But I don't know how Disney does with fan films. I mean, obviously with Friday the 13th, it's a certain way, or Nightmare, it's a certain way. I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know the logistics, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Apart from apart from the season finale of season 2 of Mandalorian, The Rescue, that moment when we fucking saw Luke Skywalker come back, I could have sworn that there could have been potential, but after the firing of Gina Carano and seeing Book of Boba Fett, where the new Jedi Temple was going to be, we know damn well, oh, you clickbait having bastards. You just fucking reeled us in just to pull our shirts overhead and just push us down. You fucking bastards. Sorry.
Oh, that's called Jersey. That's called Jerseying.
Yeah.
We got Joyzied. We got Joyzied.
Sorry. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation on the fucking mind.
Mm-hmm.
Joyzied.
But yeah. Okay. I think it's time to wrap it up. We've been here for 2.5 hours, rambling, ranting, discussing. I want to thank everyone who stopped in the chat. First and foremost, Chris, Filthy Dan, Drunk 3PO, Kyle was in here as well. Thank you all for stopping by. Make sure you stay tuned. You guys know me.
Well, don't we have something coming tomorrow though?
Oh yeah, I haven't forgotten.
We'll leave that to Carter first.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you fucking reminded me. Tomorrow is Special Agent Magic Projector, which we
Special Agent Magic Projector?
Special Agent Carter. Sorry, Special Agent Carter Sauce's Magic Projector. We are doing an episode dedicated in honor of Veterans Day, dedicated to the men and women, past, present, and future, who have served, fought, and died for this country. It is Delta
People in the future died for this country?
No.
People in the future? You said past, present, and future, people who have died for this country.
Past, present, and future soldiers who could fight, serve, and die for this country.
Looks a little bleak.
Let me phrase that. Currently, you god damn it, you know what I meant. This movie
Delta
right here.
If you've never heard of Delta Farce, I wouldn't blame you. The only reason I know about this movie is because of Carter. Yeah, take a good gander at this photo, everybody. Now, I know it's the first thing I'm looking at.
I'm not even sure which one. I mean, I see Emperor Biden, wicked Harambe of the West.
Oh, god damn it.
Yeah, see, it's kind of perfect.
There's Mickey in a fighter jet.
I know, you guys know me. I love going all
we're well aligned. We're well aligned with that trio too.
Mm-hmm.
We're all armed.
Yep.
That's right. Although you guys are the only ones that have guns, I still have my Wolverine claws. But yeah, so Delta Farce watch along. If any of you have heard of Delta Farce, want to join us tomorrow, or even if you've never seen it or heard of it, come join us. We'll have a good time.
Mm-hmm. And Horrorwood on Saturday. We're going to be talking all things Freddy Krueger Nightmare on Elm Street shit. Bring questions, specifically nightmare-related questions. Ask me anything about the franchise. I'll tell you everything you need to know. But yeah, that's yes. It's gonna be one hell of a nightmare.
But it can't be as bad as Freddy's Dead and.
Well, I'm sure
remake, right?
people are gonna want me to talk about that. You know it. Everyone loves it when I get it pissed off. 'Cause that's where the entertainment comes in.
That's fair. Filthy Dan says, you guys had a heavy conversation. I dug it. If I still burnt that sweet leaf, I'd definitely be throwing more philosophical insight. Great show, dudes. We appreciate it, Filthy Dan. We appreciate you sticking around with us.
Hell yeah.
Nice to have consistent faces. It's kind of, it's funny because that's how it started with Danner here. It was it before or after the Nightmare watch long we did?
After, because that's where I met you.
Gotcha. Right. So after we did that really great Nightmare watch along with Bacon, me and Danner and Brettman, and me making a fucking Jeffrey Epstein joke. That was, what was that? 2 years?
2 years and 1 day now.
Jesus. But that's where we had our good connection start. And then Danner would join us in our chat for Warm Pop Culture. And I was talking with Carter about it. I'm like, hey, you know what? I like this guy. I remember him in the Nightmare watch along, and he was saying a lot of great stuff in the chat. Why don't we bring him on for Warm Pop Culture? And because you had been with us for so many episodes at that point, like you were constantly back to back joining. You're like, you know what? Fuck it. Welcome to the family.
Welcome to the crew.
And it's an honor to be part of it.
It's an honor to have you.
Why I started advertising our merchandise at okay.
Yes.
It was just custom made.
Yeah.
I'm the only one who has one for now.
Yes, it's true. I wanted to start doing merch. Like if anybody's interested in like Dark Ether Files hats or shirts, let us know. I mean, I plan on doing it anyway at some point. I just have to I need to get into it. Like I don't even know where to start really. I mean, I can probably talk to some of our friends who have merch, but I want to start wearing some Dark Ether File shirts on stream. It'd be kind of funny, right? It'd be kind of cool.
A hat that says the entertainment is out there on top.
Hell yeah.
Or
potential.
Or my hat that says Carter's Cold Blue Sauce. I don't put that shit on anything.
No, I put that shit on nothing. Come on.
The franchise rights alone would make us rich beyond our wildest dreams. Ghostbusters one. But yeah, so Match Your Projector tomorrow, Horrorwood on Saturday. As for what's coming up next Thursday, I'm not really sure yet. It's most likely going to be Danner's Dumpster if Danner's up to it, if he's up to dig back in. We'll see. Well, you know, you guys know me. I always say, stay tuned. You'll find out. So I want to thank our Patreon supporters, Mother Muller and Kyle Curtis Flett. It is an honor to have you guys on board, still supporting us. A special thank you once again to everybody who joined in to the chat. Oh wait, hold on. I'd rock a beanie, Scully, ski cap with that logo, dudes. Yes, you know what? I mean, like we said, franchise opportunities, multiple ideas, sweaters. I mean, especially because it's the cold season, right? So
yeah.
So skull caps, beanies, sweaters, the whole shebang.
Maybe a keychain.
Keychain. Fuck it. Yeah, keychain. It's like, oh, hey. You know, it's funny because at work today, I had someone compliment my I have a Batman keychain, like the Batman 89 logo. And it's like, hey, Batman. I was like, yep, that's right, Batman. So yeah. I guess stay tuned for that as well. We're gonna get that ball rolling. I think it's long overdue. We've been around long enough to say, yeah, let's start making some merch. People are gonna like it.
Bacon can do it, so can we.
That's true.
Maybe make some posters and autograph some posters.
I don't know if we're that famous yet, huh?
Not quite.
Yeah.
Well, like a raffle poster of like an autograph poster raffle or something.
Yeah, we'll see.
damn it! God fucking damn it! Just being fucking purple and shit.
I think Carter could use one of those, eh?
God damn it! No! No!
Hey, what would you want me to save the files on this here thumb drive?
You bastard! No! Stop it!
Stop it! Stop running, right? Get some Seth Pagans in you, right?
Stop! Stop running!
Okay. Well, once again, a special thank you to everyone who stopped by. Filthy Dan, you're awesome. We appreciate you. And with that all being said, thank you all for watching, listening, and supporting. And as always, my fellow investigators, remember that, like the truth, the entertainment is out there.
And welcome to the war.
I'm Special Agent Spooky Clutter.
I'm Special Agent Carter Sauce.
Special Agent Dr. Richtofen. And until next time, fellow investigators, remember.
The entertainment.
The entertainment.
The entertainment is out there.